The 2026 college football season is fast approaching, and it is going to be a doozy. I'm incredibly excited, and if you aren't at the moment, you should be. But that's the goal of today's video. I'll get you up to speed by predicting elements of the season, from coach firings to the playoff itself. Some will be out of left field, but at the end of the day, we're just having some fun. If you agree or disagree, please voice your opinions in the comments below. Earlier in the year, the season ended with the Indiana Hoosiers beating Miami at their home stadium to win their first ever national championship, a season that finished a perfect 16-0. But a new season is upon us, and questions not only surround Indiana, but programs like Texas who've constantly underperformed since playoff expansion. Ole Miss and LSU face full seasons with new head coaches. While there's pressure on Lane Kiffin to live up to expectations, the flip side of that is getting to see if Pete Golding is the real deal, with one full season with Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey as a combo. Looking into the ACC, can Miami run riot with Mintz at the helm? What about James Franklin at Virginia Tech? Or the Big 12 without Brennan Sorsby at Texas Tech itself? To begin and provide clarity to these questions, let's predict who will win their respective conferences. Without a doubt, the SEC will have the most eyes upon the conference. 6 head coaching changes were made in the offseason, along with others being on the hot seat. The experience and the grit of the top dogs will prove to be crucial during the run into the playoffs. For that reason, I'm going to start with Georgia playing in Atlanta for the SEC championship for the 5th year in a row. And while the last 2 went Georgia's way, along with Kirby Smart never losing to Sark, I've got the Longhorns edging out the Dogs to lift the championship trophy. Despite an undefeated record in conference play, Georgia will run out of gas against Texas. Now, the Longhorns will sneak into the title game due to a win on November 14th against LSU at Tiger Stadium. Moving into the best conference in recent memory, we're going to discuss the Big Ten. Despite Indiana getting a strong transfer class, including former TCU quarterback Josh Hoover, I've got Indiana only finishing 3rd in the conference. The best 2 teams are Ohio State and Oregon, the best player in college football in Jeremiah Smith, and the best quarterback Dante Moore. I've got the Ducks marching into Ohio Stadium and shocking the Buckeyes just to lose the rematch in the Big Ten championship. Despite the strength and experience of Oregon, I think Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith will have a masterclass game, earning the championship for the first time since 2020. With Indiana hosting Ohio State on October 17th and the conference remaining ultra competitive, I've got Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana making the college football playoffs, all reaching double-digit win totals before the playoffs even commence. The Big Ten has earned a weird reputation due to the deal with Monster Energy and Brennan Sorsby's gambling scandal. Despite the noise, the top 3 teams all have a shot at the title. Texas Tech are coming off a Big 12 title against BYU, not to mention a dismal performance in the Orange Bowl against Oregon. Without transfer quarterback Brennan Sorsby, all eyes are on the Red Raiders heading into the season. They will face heavy competition from runners-up BYU, led by head coach Kalani Sitake and quarterback Bear Bachmeier. BYU and Texas Tech are clearly a tier above the rest. However, it will be interesting to see Utah line up without Coach Kyle Whittingham, who had been there for 21 years. So despite what we know, I'm going to go with a little shakeup in the Monster Energy Big 12 Conference. Texas Tech are going to go 12-0 in the regular season, but they will lose to BYU, who avenged last year's Big 12 title game blowout. This win will seal a first-round bye for BYU heading into their first ever college football playoff appearance. As for the ACC, the conference underwent a little turmoil due to weird tiebreaker rules. Those rules saw Duke beat UVA and Charlotte for the title, despite Duke entering the game at 7-5. There was a 5-way tie that got the Blue Devils in over Miami, and according to the ACC, this won't happen again. It's pretty clear that national championship runners-up Miami will cakewalk the ACC. Only SMU and Louisville really stand a chance against the Hurricanes, and for that reason, I'll take Louisville to lose to Miami and Charlotte for the ACC title game. The Miami Hurricanes will make the playoffs again with only 1 loss in the regular season to Notre Dame. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, rest in peace to the Pac-12, but the conference does have a new look in 2026, and I'll briefly say that Boise State will win the conference over Washington State, the only loss for the Broncos coming against Oregon, and with that, Boise State will be the at-large bid for the college football playoff. So with our 4 power champions revealed, along with Boise State winning the Pac-12, let's get into my 12-team playoff predictions. My top 4 seeds in order are going to be Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, and BYU. The 5 through 12 seeds are as follows: Texas, Miami, Texas Tech, Oregon, LSU, Alabama, Indiana, and Boise State. I believe these are the teams that will get in some order or another. So with that, here's my bracket. The first round consists of a championship rematch with Miami avenging its loss to Indiana. Texas Tech beats Alabama, Texas beats Boise State, and Oregon defeats a very strong LSU team. In the quarterfinals, Notre Dame's weak schedule leaves them unprepared for Lanning's Ducks, putting Oregon in back-to-back semifinals. The Texas Longhorns are going to roll on against BYU, Ohio State mauls Texas Tech, and Georgia, being the superior team, are going to beat Miami. Now this leads me to my semifinal predictions, which are actually made up of solely Big Ten and SEC teams. On one side, Oregon takes on Texas, and on the other, Ohio State faces Georgia. Oregon wins, and Georgia defeats Ohio State. I have this tingling feeling that Dante Moore's return will drive this Oregon team to its first ever national championship, and it'll come down to two former Saban disciples between Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart. Dante Moore drives his draft stock up, solidifying himself as the #1 prospect in the 2027 NFL Draft. So now we've gotten through what may prove to be outlandish predictions at the top, so let's predict 7 coaches to be fired during or after the season. First, let's start with Dave Aranda at Baylor. Despite having been at Baylor for 6 seasons, only 2 have resulted in a winning record. The shining light of his tenure was a 12-2 season with a Big 12 title, but since then, he's completely regressed. His overall record is 36-37 with the Bears, and after coming off a 5-7 season, Baylor may decide to part ways with him during the season if all else fails. A rather obvious decision will be Wisconsin parting ways with Luke Fickell. He has a 17-21 record since taking over for 1 game in 2022, and his win totals have gone from 7 to 5 to 4 last season. With tough games against Notre Dame, Iowa, and Southern Cal, I see him gone before November. Staying in the Big Ten, I've got Mr. 4-8 Mike Locksley to be fired after 7 full seasons at Maryland. It's very simple, they just can't compete in the Big Ten, and his 37-49 Maryland record backs this up. Now this is a bold one, and I'm going to go with a real shocker. I've got the multi-million-dollar coach who was essentially given everything to leave Oklahoma, and it's Southern California's very own Lincoln Riley. Now while this may shock some, it is my boldest firing prediction. So he's entering his 5th season with the Trojans, and yet he has never made the college football playoff despite the phenomenal recruiting and booster money, of which saw Caleb Williams at USC unable to lead the team to a Pac-12 title and a college football playoff appearance. His record with the Trojans is 35-18 with a winning percentage of 66%. Now that isn't a bad record, but this is Southern California and the expectations are considerably higher. This team has probably a ceiling of 9-3, but realistically I think they're an 8-4 team. And this is due to the opponents that they face. We're talking Oregon, Ohio State, and then away to Indiana and Penn State. None of those games are going to be easy, and he will likely receive a massive buyout at some point in the near future. Next up, I have 2 ACC coaches that will be relieved of their duties, and that is going to be Bill Belichick and Mike Norvell. UNC will have to reckon with the fact that they hired a coach who can't do it in college. Following the Tar Heels' 4-8 season, he enters 2026 on a scorching hot seat. And then you have Mike Norvell, and he has clearly run his course in Tallahassee. Despite the 13-1 season, ever since that 60-point blowout to Georgia, the program has never recovered. He's 7-17 over the last 2 seasons, and his time at FSU has only resulted in a 38-34 record. He'll be gone by Halloween unless the AD makes a call after they lose to Clemson on that day. Finally, and painfully, I predict Shane Beamer to be fired after a 6-6 season with the Gamecocks. He's been too up and down in Columbia, and I think the fans will probably just drive him out. He'll be fired after the season is over, and currently Beamer does hold a record of 33-30 at South Carolina. Now, I don't see these coaches obviously getting fired, but let's highlight those 6 new head coaching moves in the SEC. Obviously, I'm very high on Lane Kiffin, and especially after Ole Miss's run in the college football playoff, I'm also very high on Pete Golding. I think both will do well. Obviously, I think LSU are going to do better given that I predict LSU and Lane Kiffin to make the college football playoff, but it will be interesting to see Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey under Golding for a full season. Now, I am much more bearish on John Summerall in year 1 at Florida. Due to the juggernaut schedule and questions at quarterback, I have them at 7-5. Now, I will say, Alex Golesh is a hire that I love at Auburn, but I do think there's going to be time that there will be struggles, and he and his team are going to need to adapt after coming from the American Conference and then going to the SEC. You have Will Stein at Kentucky. I think he's going to need time. And as for Ryan Silverfield, I really don't like the hire, and I just don't see it in the long term. Give him 3 to 4 years, and I think he'll be run out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Despite what national media may cover, I want to talk about teams that I am interested in regardless of the state of the program. If you remember, I made a video in early December about 4 American Conference coaches leaving for bigger schools. And with that being said, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, and Oklahoma State are all on my radar. I think all coaches underwhelm in a very top-heavy SEC, despite what the hype is around some like John Summerall. As for Oklahoma State, Eric Morris brought 21 players who previously played under him at North Texas all the way to Stillwater. That does include quarterback Drew Mestamaker and running back Caleb Hawkins. Morris should be able to guide the Cowboys to at least top 5 in the Big 12, assuming all goes well. And then on the other side of the state, about an hour 20 south, let's envision a healthy John Mateer and Oklahoma doing well in the SEC. If you do remember last season, up until Mateer's hand injury, he was the Heisman frontrunner. Coach Brent Venables will attempt to steer the Sooners back into playoff contention, and while that likely is the expectation in Norman, I think they fall just short. It wouldn't surprise me if Mateer can get the Sooners to 10 wins and a playoff spot come December. Finally, keep an eye out on UCLA and Bob Chesney out west. He's a program builder who developed Alonzo Barnett and led the Dukes to a college football playoff berth. Now with Nico Iamaleava, we should be excited to see how he does with the Bruins roster. Watch out for other programs with new coaches as well, like Kansas State with former Heisman runner-up Colin Klein at head coach, Charles Huff at Memphis, and James Franklin, of course, at Virginia Tech. So ultimately, to wrap up this video, I will now give you my Heisman Final Four. Without predicting the winner, you can do so in the comments. The 4 I have is Dante Moore, Trinidad Chambliss, Jeremiah Smith, and out of left field, I'm going to go with Mark Fletcher Jr. I would lean towards Dante Moore winning, but I also like putting Mark Fletcher Jr. in there just because he was dominant in the playoffs last season. Out of those 4, let me know who you think would win. Well, everybody, that is the end of this prediction video. If you are still here, I really appreciate you staying to this moment. If you agreed or think I'm wide of the mark, please let me know in the comments down below. My name is Cobalt Productions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.